Cuba.
Cuba.
The administration, there's a big piece in the New York Times today, has essentially put a tourniquet on the Cuban economy. They can't even perform surgeries in hospitals. Food is running short. No oil is reaching the island. They're in a state of meltdown. What's going to happen?
Well,
are we going to see tens of thousands of refugees streaming to Florida? And there's going to be another big refugee crisis.
Mariel boat lift, or the Haitian boat crisis in 1992 that you and I both remember. So I think if I'm at the White House right now, I'm monitoring every morning how many people have gotten on boats from the island trying to come to Florida. Because that is Cuba's nuclear option. They can say, okay, everybody, I'm going to give you all an inflatable raft, and you can all go. And Mariel was 100,000. Imagine if 500,000 get on boats.
And they empty their prisons.
They'll absolutely empty their prisons. They'll empty their insane asylums. They'll absolutely incorporate intelligence operatives within that group. The American Coast Guard will only have some ability to scoop up these folks. Some will make it, and they're going to show up on Palm Beach or show up in Miami Beach or the Keys, and we're going to have some trouble.
Now, under U.S. law, are they still entitled to automatic citizenship?
They're used to. I think that's been changed. There was an unfortunate term of art for that you'll recall that I'm not going to repeat on. This is TvAbraham's A Family channel. Maybe in the 1980s and 1990s was appropriate, but I'm not quite sure we should say it here. But anyways, there was a policy that had a shorthand about feet that I'm not going to say. But I would just say that I think that's the first question is the regime going to do that? The second is, at some point, does the Cuban American population start to worry about the humanitarian costs of the pressure? So I'm in favor of seeing the regime go. I'm hopeful. So there's a scenario, and we've talked about this before on your show, that in 2026 we could have a free Iran, we could have a free Cuba, and certainly on our way to a freer Venezuela. Imagine that.
The last holdout is, of course, North Korea.
There's North Korea. I'm also thinking of China. Imagine a world where we had a democratic China. I know that's a tall order, and maybe not in the next 36 months, but I think we should set our sights on to quote Secretary Madeleine Albright, changing the nature of the regime. I'm not saying regime change, but over time, to see a democratic China is not an impossible thing. The existence of Taiwan creates the hope. It's the pilot light of freedom in East Asia that we should consider. And so
now, before we go down that road, I want to stick to Cuba for a second.
Okay.
Because you have a forthcoming piece in the Jerusalem Strategic Tribune next week.
I just want to say how grateful I am to you, Jacob. I'm so grateful to the Jerusalem Strategic Tribune. I'm grateful to your partnership, your intellectual collaboration, and giving me a platform to talk about my ideas. And so one of the things I'm publishing next week...
We need a sneak peek.
Sneak peek. We need to get ready for... We talked about the complications, but there is a very plausible scenario that the regime could end or fracture in Cuba.
Right.
Soon.
It could.
This year.
Yeah. Or maybe even in a couple months.
Even in a couple months. God willing, to your lips... From your lips to God's ears, I hope that happens. I fervently hope for that. It would be so good for the world. Again, Iran, we talked about that. Cuba has been a bleeding sore in the Western Hemisphere for 60 years. It has provided succor for crazy leftists who are communists or communist adjacent, they've exported terrorism. They've sheltered our terrorists and American criminals. They have exported forces to all over the world. They are bad hombres. These are bad people. So now, are they behind every problem in the Western Hemisphere? No. Are they all-knowing? No. Do they have an economy the size of Honduras? Más o menos. My argument in the Jerusalem Strategic Tribune is we need to get ready for the change. Now, there's been lots of academic studies about this. I'm of the view we need to have some specific actionable instruments right away. We had, with the fall of the Soviet Union, we set up a series of about a dozen investment funds in the post-Soviet space. And some of them were extremely successful. I'm on the board of the Moldova, Ukraine one, which still exists. All the others were basically closed down. Many of them were successful, some were duds. The Poland one was a success, but this was at the period in the late 80s and early 90s when there was no such thing as capitalism and there was no generation of capitalists or trained investors or trained business professionals. We are going to have something that rhymes with that in Cuba. Many of your listeners may have visited Cuba. There is teeny individual kiosk businesses or people that run restaurants out of their homes. And then the rest is regime-run, oftentimes military-controlled businesses, whether it's the cigar business or the tourism industry or the minerals business. So we need to have an flexible set of investment capital that can take heavier, bigger risks than traditional investment capital that co-invest with the Cuban diaspora, who are incredibly capable and able. Some will want to return, not that many, but many more will want to be invested and interested in trying to shape the future of Cuba, both economically and politically. We should partner with them. But I think we should take a cue from what we learned in the post-Soviet space and bring a similar sort of an enterprise fund to Cuba, and we need to get ready for that now. Now, one way to do that, I don't include this in the piece, but I've been thinking about this since, so thanks for giving me this opportunity, is maybe we create a Caribbean enterprise fund
Or
and
initiative.
initiative, and we just plus it up and add it in as like a Lego piece. So that's my piece I didn't add in the piece, but you've heard it here first on TvAbraham. That's why you listen to TvAbraham. Thanks a lot, Jacob.
Thank you.
What a pleasure. Thank you.